All right. Another edition of Championship Chase. The topic right now, let's talk about who will be the new head coach. More so, what type of head coach will the Steelers get? Would you prefer a guy who's like an assistant and would be a long term fix or a short term fix, Ida?
I mean, I don't want short term. I think some of the people that they could have been looking at, or at least definitely one, I'll name a name, which is Mike McCarthy. I look at him as a short term, couple years, maybe come in and pull it together type. Not many, you're not going to get that longevity that the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think they hang their hat on. I think it's becoming a thing. I think that's something that they will continue to look for. So I'm definitely thinking that they are going to go with younger, defensive, offensive. It could be either. I don't know. Preferably offensive for me. I think it's time to do a little switch up. I think they've been consistently in that boat of, that defense that's strong. But I do see, like I said before, the league has changed. This is an offensive league. Yes, defense has to prepare to stop that offense. So it is important. And it was a big deal, I think, in some of our past playoff games. But at the same time, I just think it'll be a good look. You're in the process of trying to find your franchise quarterback. You're trying to turn that tide of this debauchery that we've had for all these years since Big Ben has been gone. So I think it really is time to just switch it up. I think you get you a young, strong, not real young, strong offensive mind. It could be somebody who's a coach already. I don't know. But I think a strong, younger offensive mind is what the Steelers should be looking for.
Well, I think Mike McCarthy would be a perfect solution because they have a veteran team. He's a good coach, but most people want somebody who's young. What about you, Anthony?
I think it's going to be somebody who's going to be young, and then I think it's going to be a matter of his assistant coaches that come in. Who's going to be the offensive coordinator? Who's going to be the defensive coordinator? In that respect, that's what I look at. I think this this position is a really a position that a lot of coaches would love to have because the last coaches that have come in, somebody's retired, somebody stepped down, and this is the same type of process they're looking at now, a stepping down aspect. The Steelers don't look at it. They don't use the word fire. Okay. They never use the word fire at somebody. Okay. So coming in here is going to be a thing that they know they're going to want you to not just produce right now, but they're going to look at, you're going to throw you the keys to getting the quarterback, getting the defense back, getting the Steeler motif back, getting the whole swag back of the Steelers. And they want somebody in here, I think, that is going to be long term. And if you take this job, you're going to be here maybe 15, 20 years. Okay. That's just going to be and the fans will stay with you they will stay with you no matter what. Okay. And they're going to stay with you to get these things. Cause this is the first time that I have seen and heard this year of the fans really turning against the coach, any coach. I've never heard it against Cowher, never heard it against the other coaches. So it's going to be, they've heard it against offensive coordinators. They've had it in the paper. But I think they're going to get a young coach in here who has a swag. But I think that young coach is still out there playing right now. I think that
Well, I'll
young
tell
coach
you
is
what,
still out there.
one guy who won't be here is Brian Flores. Now, Ida, you mentioned earlier that he re-signed with Minnesota as their defensive coordinator. Do you think he was ever really considered by the Steelers?
I mean, I think they gave him the shot. He definitely was, a senior defensive coach. And I think, it was like, okay, bring him in. He's out. I think it was a respect piece more so than anything because I didn't think he was somebody they should have got. So, I think it was just like he's out there. We'll give him the opportunity and shot to come, let him shoot a shot and see what he shoots. I personally didn't want him just because of I just hear what all of I won't say all, but a lot of the players that he coached prior in Miami didn't have
Oh,
the
you
best
talked to Mika
respect.
Fitzpatrick.
Not just Minka, Tua. There were some other people who were not like the higher names that have come out in recent, like he had some issues. So I was like, I don't know if that will work here. And if you're trying to build something, I think that makes it a little bit tougher. They don't have to be as of a player's coach as strong as Mike Tomlin was, but I think they do need to have a good bit of that. Maybe not 100% of that, but they have to at least give me 50 of that. And then you'll be able to build something. But with it already coming in with those rumblings, I feel like players talk. I haven't been a player, but I know if I heard it, other
Mhm.
players have heard it. Other locker rooms have heard it. So that becomes a little difficult. So I was looking at Brian Flores as not really an option for here. But what I will say is this city And the team maybe not, but this city does turn on coaches. This was not the first year I've heard the fire Tomlin. This was the first year that it became that big choral unison during a game. But they've been nasty to him for years now. And I think that build up becomes something that can make you really think like, hey, like, what am I still doing here? It got the loudest this past season, of course, but there were prior years where people were questioning every little move he made. They didn't like him when they first saw him. And that's one little pocket of people that people don't even want to talk about because it's real. There's people who did not want him. They felt like he was a Rooney Rule hire, which doesn't even exist. Rooney Rule means you give interviews. It does not mean you have to hire and continue to keep somebody for 19 years and pay them millions of dollars. So people are a little weird about that. And then it became, oh, he just won because it's Cowher put the team together for him. All of those different things that he has been up against all these years in this city. So I don't think it's just this year, but it just got the loudest this year.
Well, there's still some venom about Mike Tomlin right now, even though he's no longer the Pittsburgh coach. Some sports writers in the city have been talking about the fact that they think he owes an explanation as to why he resigned. Anthony, is that what he needs to do?
I think he gave it to the players, and I think he's contacted the players that he needed to talk to. He's come to peace with the owners. He's talked to them. As far as the fans or what have you, look, if you are a fan, you were a fan for a long time, you know this business, okay? Meaning that, you can see coaches being fired, but also when you see them step down, it's up to them. They made that decision. And at a town like Steelers, they're okay with Tomlin making that kind of move. Now, how it came about, maybe the Rooneys were going to do something, and they asked him about how do you want to handle this, and he said, "I'll do this." Whatever that was, this is what the result was. So this is what it is. I think the Steeler fandom is going to just be able to accept it the way it is, and they don't really. Tomlin doesn't really owe them anything other than he appreciates the fans, which I think he does. He appreciates the ownership for giving him an opportunity to stay there as long as he did. He appreciates the players that played for him, that gave him the platform to do what he loves to do. And that's really it. He can explain, he can say this, and I think he will to some extent as he makes his decision on what he's going to do for this next year. But it's not going to be all that he's going to sit down and say, this is what was how I led up to this decision and everything else. He's going to say, it was time and I decided to do this, and I'm looking for bigger and better things in the future. And people are going to ask him about coaching, of course, and he may have something to say about that.
So I take the Rooneys for their word. I feel like they've been an honest owner since I've been alive. What I've dealt with them, their word has been their bond. What I felt like comes out from them, I can trust. I don't know if every team in NFL has that, but I do feel that. So when Mr. Rooney came out and said, like, he wanted to ride another year with him, I believe he wanted to ride another year with him. I don't think there was this, let me push you out the door or you just go and we do that, because there was money implications on the line. If you wanted to let me go, you can let me go, but you're going to have to pay me. So why would I leave all of that on the table? I don't think that is what happened. I think he made a decision. Rondé Barber came out and said that he told him that before. There have been rumblings that he was already speaking about making this move. So I take that at its word from both of them. There's no need for me to even question that. What I see in this city and the beat writers is fodder. They're trying to keep stories going, to keep it going through the draft because you need something to talk about. But then also, there are some guilty feelings out there of the way that the rumblings, now that the national news is talking about the way Mike Tomlin has been treated by the nasty city and these nasty, very nasty fans and news reporters that I've watched on The Fan and other things. Now it's like, oh, they're blaming us. They're saying it's our fault. Well, he needs to say what it was and how this came to be. He doesn't need to say anything. He said what he said and he's gone.